Welcome to the Creative Plane Podcast Network. Join us as we review our favorite RPGs, collectible card games, MMOs, video games, PC games, and bring up interesting topics and things that we'd like to share with everyone. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and rpgpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Welcome back to the Creative Plane Podcast Network. Hey guys, Jim here, and today I've got a special guest joining me. I've got from the folks at the Boston Metaphysical Society, I've got Madeleine Holly-Rosing. Hey Madeleine, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm doing fairly good today. It's a beautiful spring, winterish, almost spring day. We actually stayed warm and not in the 30s tonight, so I'm doing nice and good today.
Yeah, it's been chilly out here in California. You've probably seen we've had a ton of rain, which we needed. We love it.
Yeah.
Need more. So, yeah, that was a nice change of pace, actually having rain. So we're definitely looking forward to more, getting us out of the drought.
That's a huge, wonderful thing to see actual rain happening in California right now.
But well, thank you once again for having me on the show. I guess we met at Gaslight Gathering. Is that correct?
In San Diego Gaslight Gathering, we had a great time. You had some awesome panels, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I got to pick me up a hard copy of Boston Metaphysical Society. I've been keeping up on the online comic, but it was nice to finally get some hard copies with your signature on them.
Yeah, we finished up all 6 issues last year. It is a 6-issue miniseries, and for those of your listeners who are not familiar with the story, it's about an ex-Pinkerton detective, his spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battle supernatural forces in late 1800s Boston. So think Steampunk X-Files. And it is a 6-issue miniseries, like I said. We are approaching rapidly the Kickstarter to print the trade, which will launch on Wednesday, February 1st. And the trade will consist not only of all 6 issues and their covers, it will include all that beautiful artwork, but also a brand new 10-page sequential art short story called Hunter Killer. And I have it's introduced 3 new characters, and basically I have 2 words for you about that one, and that's airship battle. So it is, it's an airship battle, and it was fun putting it together because I had this idea of a novella, and as you probably saw at my table, is I've also written a series of short stories and novellas based in the Boston Metaphysical universe. But I always wanted to do something with an airship crew, but I wanted it to be more accurate. I mean, you see wonderful stories of airships and battles and dieselpunk type airships, but they have no basis in reality, the actual battles that you see. And so, fortunately, I'm married to a rocket scientist, and who's also a pilot. So we sat down and figured out a way that a small airship, because I'd always envisioned this story about a small prototype airship, which is called a Hunter Killer, which is why the story is called Hunter Killer. And it's fast and maneuverable like not like, but close to the idea of a P-51 from World War II. And so, we designed a strategy that of what would work on a larger airship using a smaller, more maneuverable one. And so that was a lot of fun putting together that story. So that the complete story will only be in the trade. I'll probably post maybe the first 2 pages online, and that's it. Otherwise, if you want to know the whole story, you got to get the trade.
That's a good little teaser there.
Yeah. So as you can tell, I really enjoyed writing that story. I love those characters, and there'll be more. People will see more of those characters later on.
That's fantastic. So one thing I definitely wanted to ask, because of course, the character cast of the series is a fantastic group of individuals. Some plucked from history, some very creatively added in. Which one of your cast is your favorite?
Probably Granville Woods. And you may not know, but Granville actually existed. He is a real person.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in the same, he was a contemporary of Tesla's and Bell's. And in fact, the real Granville Woods sold his patents to Bell. That's how he made his living. He would invent things and sell the patents. Fun story about him. He sued Edison for stealing some of his work, which of course Edison did to everybody. But Granville won, which was interesting considering he was, an African American man in, the 1800s. That's how egregious Edison was. So Edison then offered him a job. He refused and ended up starting his own business with his brother in upstate New York. But in my research and developing the story, I found him because he actually did most of his work in Ohio. But since I'm the writer, I brought him to Boston and made him part of the team because I can do that.
Artistic license is an important thing.
Yes. So actually, of all the main characters, there's the only 2 that are fictional are there's a lot that are fictional, but the main ones is Samuel Hunter, Caitlin O'Sullivan, and of course Samuel's father-in-law, Jonathan Wildsmore. They're all fictional characters.
Yeah, Caitlin is of course my personal favorite of the series.
She's a lot of people's personal favorite.
Yeah, she's a fun,
and I can
character.
understand why. No, I really enjoy writing her. She's a lot of fun because she's very much a young woman of her world, trying to push the boundaries, but you can only push them so far before things start, fragmenting. And I don't know if you've read the whole series yet.
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Yeah, you're caught up.
Yep.
But yeah, there's, for the decisions that she made later on, there are repercussions. You just haven't seen it yet. So, people go like, well, what happened? And I'm like, don't worry, it's all there. It's just you don't know what it is yet, but I know what it is.
So that's good storytelling. See, everybody wants to know the next, what if, what's going to happen next?
Yes. I did finish the first draft of the first Boston Metaphysical novel, which after the Kickstarter I will go back and rewrite. And then that'll go through many machinations before it's ready for the world. But that story focuses 5 years before the comic starts. And it's when Elizabeth Hunter is still alive.
Okay.
And it's basically the story of Samuel, Elizabeth, and her father, Jonathan Wildsmore. So you are introduced to Andrew O'Sullivan, Caitlin's father.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, he doesn't last very long in the comic.
Page 2, 3?
3, yeah. Page 3, chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you get to see a lot more of him, and in the novellas and short stories as well. he's he's much more, of course, fleshed out. There's actually one of the first stories is just about him, and then you see him a bit in some of the other stories. But yeah, I've had some people who actually want to cosplay as Andrew.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because they've read some of the short stories and like, well, wait a minute, he was like really cool and you like killed him. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Sorry.
These things do happen, for stories.
They happen. But yeah, no, but it's been fun, and it continues to be fun.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I love with the series is even when things get really serious, it's still got that touch of whimsy in it.
Yeah, I do try. I mean, I really enjoy steampunk because I love science fiction and I love history. So steampunk is basically the marriage of those two things, and with steam technology thrown in. But what it does allow me to do, it exists in a time period where social mores are very stratified and very rigid. And you can talk about things like classism, racism, sexism in an organic fashion without beating the themes over the head. These people have to deal with it, but we don't have to lecture about it. It's an integral part of their lives, and that's one of the many reasons I like steampunk. It provides the opportunity for me to talk about the things that interest me and that I'm concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the venue of steampunk, because you can organically show rather than tell.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's in a format that's it's close enough to our era that we understand it and can accept it with just an example.
Yes, that is quite true.
And of course, steampunk's fun because it has Tesla coils.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a lot of steampunk I've read, and particularly on the comic side, has been very gadget oriented and not character oriented. And fortunately, I see people moving away from that, which I think is great, because yes, the gadgets are wonderful and we love them, but unless the gadget itself has personality and is engaging, it doesn't really function very well in storytelling. It's the people or something you can identify, like if you want to use an automaton, a story about the journey of an automaton or something, and then you can imbue it with certain human aspects and emotions that we as a reader can connect with and enjoy it. So, but yeah, that's just my little.
Definitely, yeah. If the item is important to the story, it's okay to fixate, but don't just make everything about the next cool gadget.
Yeah,
I understand
absolutely.
that one completely. It's, like I was talking to a friend earlier today of James Bond. We love it for the gadgets, but we're there for the character.
Yes. That's why in Boston Metaphysical, all of the gadgets they take a back seat. They're there, they're part of the world, but I didn't want to get obsessed with this gadget or that gadget, or it's just they use them and move on with their lives. So,
especially
but it is.
Especially with the cast of characters. I mean, to them, it's a nonchalant thing,
Yeah, it's just a natural part of their world. It's like Samuel. By the time you meet Samuel and Granville in the comic, they've been working together for a number of years. So you can tell they already have a pattern of how they talk to each other and what they expect from each other, and they are on equal terms, which is also unusual for that time period.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Samuel's not upper class. He's what I refer to in the comic and in the novel and the short stories is he's from the middle district. So he's essentially middle class. And Granville is also middle class, but since he's African American, he does live apart. And of course, Caitlin is lower class Irish, and really doesn't have anything to do with the upper tier class, which is what I refer to as the great houses. So she has basically, nothing to do with them, and they with her.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, she's got the natural talents.
Yes, absolutely. So I have to ask you, what you said Caitlin was your favorite character. Is there any particular issue that's a favorite of yours? So I get to interview you. If you remember, that's fine if you don't.
I'm trying to think back to one particular one. I mean, the latest one. I mean, that's issue 6, right? Let me see. I'm looking.
Yeah,
over my
issue 6. Yeah.
Is basically just how she's been dealing with all the confrontations going on. I mean, she's literally, no matter how bad things are going, she's the bubbly happiness going on.
Yeah.
She gets blown up. Boom, she's still smiling.
Like, you're going to pay me more now, right?
Yeah, exactly. That type of line right there, it just strikes a chord with me of, I've known people just like that. They're like, so bad things happen, but you're going to compensate me for it, right? It's I'm here doing my job. I'm smiling. I'm taking the worst of it, Hey, I still be breathing,
Well, while we're talking to her, I want to give a shout out and kudos to my artist, Emily Hugh, who has done a great job throughout the whole series, and you can probably see how she's improved each issue. She also did Hunter Killer, the short story, as part of the trade.
Oh, okay.
And she was very happy to do that. I said, hey, you want to do airships? She's going like, yeah. I want to do airships. And also my colorist, Farisa Kamaputra, and who was there for chapters 1 through 3, and then Gloria Colley, who's been with me the whole time, and she also did the coloring on Hunter Killer, and she did the inking and the coloring for the cover of the trade, which she did a spectacular job on. So I have to give kudos to the whole team, and of course Troy Pateri, our letterer, because you don't do comics in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You gotta have a good team, and even though we're finished with the mini series and the short story, that I know if I'm able to do more in the future, that their schedules permitting, I know I can reach out to them and say like, hey, do you want to do another? And I'm sure they would.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, you can tell that you guys definitely have gotten better, or issue after issue, you've gotten more comfortable. The artwork's definitely gotten a lot better, and issue 6 is the best artwork ever. I mean, some of her costume choices, I mean, just like the After the Explosion, where she's just got this disheveled look. She's, Hunter's holding on to her, and she's just got this cute little half smirk smile, After, 2 pages earlier, she's mad dogging the devil himself practically. I mean, it goes from this serious, intense face to all of a sudden explosion, and everything's okay.
Yeah, I mean, she is. I mean, Caitlin is definitely the heart and soul of the series, and even though I've taken a liking to Granville, but no, I like them all. It's just, I guess probably each of them is little bits and pieces of myself. So it's as most writers do. There's little bits of you in all your characters somewhere. But yeah,
that's one of those hugely important things, so that way that you can easily identify with the characters.
Yes, most definitely.
And that's one thing I like with the series is as my wife brought up the other day, because she's a costumer, and she just loves the outfits, the way they've been drawn. It's the fact that you can look through them and they're all Victorian-inspired outfits. And it's
that's actually kind of interesting because, well, one of the reasons I hired Emmy was because she did Victorian so well. Because I hired her to do 2 sample pages from the script to see, of course, how she would do, and she nailed it, and I loved it. And then we had to work on her steampunking it up, so it wasn't straight Victorian. And so sometimes, if you go back into there'll be certain times where you'll have a background character where I know it used to be the woman or the man used to be wearing a straight Victorian costume, and I went back to Emmy. I said, no, we got to steampunk this up. We got to change it up a little bit, and then you'll see something with the boots and the skirt, or a purse, or that looks a little different, or a hat it's Victorian but just slightly not, and so yeah. But that's just part of the process of working with an artist.
Definitely, and that's one nice thing with steampunk too, is you have the familiar, but then you've got the crazy, not familiar that you just roll with. It's like, okay, yeah. I get what that is, I get what it does, so we're just going to continue on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll wait. I'm sure if you've looked online, you've probably seen the cover for the trade, and I think Emmy and Gloria pretty much knocked it out of the park.
I'll definitely make sure to post a link as well, so that way we can share it.
Yeah, it's up on the Facebook page, and also on the web page, on the blog, I think underneath the comic page.
Mm-hmm. The one with the pink and purple fog?
Yes, yeah, and it has a different logo because I went to Troy and I wanted to change up the lettering for the trade to make it a little more dynamic than what had been on the single issues. And so, he did a great job. So everything's the same but a little different. So, people, it will be recognizable to anyone who's following the comic, but it's more dynamic, which is what we wanted for the cover of the trade. And everyone did a great job. It's currently in pre-press right now. My pre-press guy is compiling it all together. It takes time.
Oh yeah, it's the problem. Is one of those deals.
It always takes time.
It's all about the preparations.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, where can folks catch up on Boston Metaphysical Society's adventures, for those who haven't caught up to it or seen us shamelessly plug it on Facebook?
Shamelessly plugging on Facebook. They can go to the website at www.bostonmetaphysicalsociety.com. And of course, feel free to go like the Facebook page. And like I mentioned, we will be launching the Kickstarter on Wednesday, February 1st, probably around noonish Pacific Standard Time. And there are some early bird rewards, so you can get the trade and it's limited though, at a slight discount. And we have a new pin, which is great. That was actually suggested by a friend of mine. The new lapel pin is an 1800s box camera.
Oh, nice.
That it's in the traditional setting of. I'm sure you've seen the lapel pins, or they're all round. They're about an inch in diameter. It says Boston Metaphysical Society, and then you have engraved in the middle the camera that Caitlin and her father.
The sphere camera.
Yeah, the box camera.
That'll be a cool little addition.
Yeah, so because I try to do a new pin every year, because last year was Tesla, and everybody loves Tesla, and Emmy did the portrait, that's on the pin, and did a great job, of course. And I think we still have the dirigible pin as well, because we actually have a reward tier where you can get all three.
Oh, that would be a cool little set.
A set of 3 with a nice little gift box with our the Steampunk Owl logo on it and all that other good stuff. So lots of fun stuff for the people, but obviously the primary thing is get the trade and you get the brand new short story.
Hey. And it doesn't take much time for folks to want to get a hold of it and make sure they devour all the content.
Yeah, my other hope is once this novel is done, is to start working on a series about the House Wars, which is my equivalent of the Civil War, set in the Boston Metaphysical universe, and the 3 new characters that are part of Hunter Killer will be in that series.
That'll be a cool addition.
Yeah, and at some point when we have the funds, the hope in the future is that anything that is pre-comic timeline will be in prose version, but anything that is post-comic timeline will be in sequential art. And I would love to do like 32-page one-shots, just focusing on like 2 of the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, that's a funding issue. So our basic hope now is to accumulate, self-fund a portion of it, and then go to Kickstarter to finish it off. But once again, that all takes time.
Yep. That's one of those ones of getting the funding, getting the planning. I mean, just like in your book, Kickstarters for the Independent Creator.
Yeah.
You definitely cover for which, by the way, I'd recommend out there for anybody who's planning on doing a Kickstarter. It's a great read and available on Amazon. It is. It is in print. In print and in ebook everywhere. Mm-hmm. Any platform that you have. I do a lot of guest lecturing now. This past year, I was at Scriptwriters Network and over at DreamWorks. And actually, tomorrow night, I'm giving a talk over at the San Bernardino Public Library to a group of authors over there, and who are interested in crowdfunding their stuff. But yeah, I do a lot of crowdfunding lecturing now, and it's all, like we've talked about before, it's all in the preparation. Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the book because I saw a lot of really awesome stuff on Kickstarter do the crash and burn. And it was simply because the creators weren't ready. They just weren't ready to launch. So I put together a very, as you have seen, a very nuts and bolts book or guide, so you could just sit down and say, okay, this is what I need to do. So I always recommend to people, just sit down and read the whole thing out first. Just do one complete pass, and then go back and read it again and start making notes of what is pertinent for your project. Because even though the book the references are all for comics, the strategy is the same no matter what you're doing. If you're an independent creator, you have to do the same thing, whether or not you're doing a plushie or a widget or a novel. The classes I've taught have included people who are doing music CDs for their music. They're doing biographies. They're doing short films. So it's the information in there is useful particularly to anybody who is looking to crowdfund under $10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way it's just usually when your goals are that low, it's just usually you and maybe a partner. And so my thought with the book and with the lectures I give is to give you the tools to be able to be successful when it's just basically you're by yourself. You don't have a team per se. When you're looking for the larger numbers of, 25 grand to 100 grand to more, then you need a team, and it's a different organizational dynamic, which I can talk about too, but I don't want to make you crazy.
Hey, the book is full of great advice.
And your listeners crazy. Excuse me, what?
The book, it is full of great advice. It really is.
Oh, thank you.
I know
all hard earned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's resonated with other independent creators because I've been in the trenches. I failed my first Kickstarter, and then we regrouped, and the second one we were fully funded in under 48 hours.
Yeah.
And we just, we felt that heartache.
Mm-hmm.
We know how painful it is to fail. And we know how hard it is to get up and go do it again and then again and again, and it'll be number 5 this week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been in the trenches too. So, and I think that's what people identify with is I'm just like they are.
Yeah, and we've seen you do it, time after time, knock it out of the park afterwards. It's just that first time getting your teeth kicked in, so to speak, on Kickstarter. That does hurt.
Yes, it does. It's very painful. And, and I think I even talk about in the book, I tell people, okay, well, if you fail, take some time, rest, regroup, and even though you may already know what your plan is and you're ready to relaunch after you failed, wait at least a month so people actually perceive that you've thought about it,
mm-hmm.
what you're doing. Because when the first one that we ran that failed, we knew 2 weeks in that it was going to fail. And when I say we, I'm talking about my husband and I. So we would talk about it, and so we already started planning, and we pretty much knew exactly what we were going to do. But one, it was the holidays, and we wanted to just take a break from it all, but you have to give the perception to people that you've actually thought about what you're doing and that you are planning, because I've seen people cancel or they fail and then they relaunch 1 week later, and I can just tell by looking at their page that they didn't really go back and think of why they failed the first time. And you need to take that time. You shouldn't wait too long. You shouldn't wait longer than 3 months, but, at least a month to really kind of think about what you're doing.
Give it that
anyway,
double check and, soul searching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even had one gentleman who bought the book from me and at a con, and I think he read it the first night I was there, and he came back to me the same day, and he said, and the next day, and he says, because you've convinced me that I do not want to run a Kickstarter. And I said, well, that was $10 well spent.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you know, if you hadn't read that and then you tried to do it, you would have wasted months of your life and just been in agony and trying to get this thing done. And now you know that this isn't the thing for you.
Exactly.
So, and he went he goes, that really worked for him. Because he knew he was not going to do what was required, which is fine. It's better to know that ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, the huge thing is that at least you're going in forewarned, so you know what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, as we've gone on in another tangent here.
So, in regards to Boston Metaphysical Society, let's jump back on the tracks there, or back in the airship.
Okay.
What is your source of inspiration? I know you said history, but do you have any other sources besides just the historical figures?
I'm a big X-Files fan, and I always kind of figured there was, even in the X-Files universe, there had to be a Mulder and Scully, but in a different time period, except with no aliens. I don't have aliens like they did. But to me, it just would have been it was an interesting idea to set a Mulder and Scully type of relationship, but in a different time period. And a lot of the historical research came from a script I wrote while I was at UCLA Film School called Stargazer. The script itself won the Sloan Fellowship, which has to do with science writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about a young Scottish-American woman who came to this country pregnant, penniless, and abandoned by her husband. And she was hired. This is a true story, by the way. She was hired as a maid by the director of the Harvard Observatory. He noticed her talent for detail and hired her to be one of his female computers, is what they called them back in the day. And she ended up discovering over 10,000 stars and developing a new stellar classification system. Her name was Mina Fleming, and you can look her up. I'm sure you can go Google her. But that's where I got a lot of my historical research done, was when I did that script. So it kind of just flowed right into the steampunk universe because I was already in, the 1800s. And then I, love the whole supernatural thing, and there you go.
Yeah, because that's one thing I love with steampunk in the Victorian era is there's that huge surge of science versus meta science. Seances were one of the cool things you do for parties.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it resonated across, pretty much every culture of the Victorian era. I mean, of just how people were accepting the new concepts.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was really, it's a very interesting time period because there was so much technological and cultural change at that time period that it really, it was a hard cultural shift for many people. And that's one of the reasons I liked using that time period.
And there's so many, as the era would have labeled them as anarchist groups, the suffrage societies, the different groups going across England wanting different types of liberation for their groups.
Mm-hmm.
And of course in America, we had so much going on because it was, like here in Tucson we have Wild Wild West Con, and we joke about so many of the gents, us gentlemen, we don't do Victorian England, we do Victorian Western, So you have the whole Western expansionism going on at the same time.
Yeah, there's an author, Shelley Adina, that I don't know if you've read any of her books.
My wife's read a few of them and told me about them.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. I haven't read all. I think I've read like 3 or 4 of them. Then just ran out of time. But yeah, she had a character who started in England and then ended up out here in the West. So she's running the gamut. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. What you can do with that world.
Yeah, it's one of those magical palettes that you can just keep painting with.
Yes, absolutely. And I like seeing American steampunk.
That's
just because there's so much English steampunk that, it's like, okay, again.
Exactly, like one of our local steampunk groups, we do a monthly book club, and this whole year they're focusing on everything not English, which is going to be fun.
Then they need to look at. There's a couple anthologies. One is The Sea Is Ours, which is about It has an anthology of Southeast Asian steampunk.
Mm-hmm.
And of course there's Steampunk World and Steampunk Universe, which all have multicultural short stories from around the world.
And that one's a fairly fast read too.
Which one, Steampunk World or
the
CSRs?
Yeah, CSRs.
CSRs, yeah, yes. It is a pretty fast read. I know I am not terribly familiar with Malaysian culture, so I'm sure there's some references that went totally over my head. But it was cool. It was very cool. Just these references of like there's a kind of catfish which they turned into a whale which flies through the air. So it's these like whales who are dirigibles essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool. You guys can go check it out.
It's one of those of lots of work was put into it.
Oh, absolutely. Full disclosure, one of the editors, Jamie Go, took my Kickstarter course, my crowdfunding course before they launched, and had a very successful campaign on Indiegogo. But yeah, I mean, she and her co-editor, they did a bang-up job.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I definitely like hearing is the Kickstarter success stories. It's nice that independent groups are getting more and more content out there, and it's not just the big production companies.
Yeah, there's actually talk that and articles talking about and arguments that Kickstarter now is the third largest publisher of independent comics.
See, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's as far as independents, I think the only ones that would be bigger are Image and probably Archaea Boom. So, for whatever that's worth.
Hey.
But yeah, I'm looking at. I don't know if have you read Skies of Fire?
I have not. No.
Oh, it's more diesel punk.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Ray Chow and what's his partner's name? Vincent for Fiorera. They wrote it. I think they're up to issue 3. They run just strictly Kickstarters, and these are oversized books. These are beautiful. You will love them. Go look up Skies of Fire. Go get it. Their company's name is called Mythiopia. And, get on their list for whatever their next Kickstarter is, because you will be very happy.
See, since I'm sitting at the keyboard, I am typing in now.
They generally don't do the smaller cons, like Gaslight and things like that. But yeah, I know they're gonna be at San Diego. We'll be in small press at San Diego this year as well.
Oh wow! With just a quick Google search, their artwork is fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's Pablo Pepino.
And of course, they have a really cool map of the Aquilian Empire.
Oh yeah, the work they put into this is just amazing. And I will reveal one secret, but only to your listeners.
Okay.
You're that special. Their artist Pablo Pepino is doing one of my stretch goals.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, that right there is a reason to make sure to spread the word and share the love.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that I know you guys are gonna love it, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. That's the big secret.
Well, that's the fun part.
That's the fun part, because we've been talking back and forth about the artwork he's doing.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, you guys you're gonna die.
It's that good.
It's that good. Yes, it's that good. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, hopefully we will get to that stretch goal, and we'll be able to reveal it, and it'll be happy time for everybody.
See, that'll be one that people will be checking back every morning when the Kickstarters are going live, and just double check to see if that stretch goal pops up or not.
Yes.
Because there's nothing cooler than backing a Kickstarter and then having really cool stretch goals come out. That becomes one of those of you already know what you're backing the Kickstarter for, but then all of a sudden cool new things come out and you realize that's just like the +1 to it,
Yes, most definitely.
All right, so Madeleine, is there anything else you wanted to tease or tantalize us about with the Kickstarter or with just Boston Metaphysical Society in general?
I think we've talked about all I've got right now. There'll be more in the future, but I think that's it. We got the Kickstarter launching on Wednesday for the trade that has as I mentioned before, the new 10-page story in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some awesome stretch goals. The novel is in the rewrite phase, and there's more coming. Just people got to be patient.
Yep, that's one of those things. Is we get a hold of the stuff and we digest it so fast, and we like more, we want more. But we have to be patient, and the magic does take time.
Yes, it definitely does.
But I just want to say, from the fan base, thank you so much for producing it. I mean, and sharing with it. I mean, you come from a huge, varied background of different skill sets and things, and just thank you for making this thing that's grown so much, out of control of the Boston Metaphysical Society, and sharing it with us all.
Well, thank you. I mean, you guys have been awesome, and thank you for embracing the story and the artwork and the team behind it. I couldn't do it without them. They are awesome. As my husband likes to half-jokingly say, we got Emmy right out of school, but at some point she's going to get so good we can't afford her anymore. But I think she'll always have a soft spot in her heart for me, just because I know we've gotten her a lot of work.
Yeah, and that's the beauty too, is you get that synergy with a good team. That it's about the project, not the prestige. Because the project is its own glory. You want to raise the baby, make the baby wonderful, and share the baby with the world.
Absolutely. So yeah, I wish we could produce more faster, but we do the best we can.
Oh yeah, and from a creative maker point of view, it's not quick and easy to do the artwork and stuff. That does take time to make it that good.
Oh, I know it. I know it does. Which is why no, I know it takes her time, but when Emmy sets her mind to it, she can crank stuff out. So it's just finding it's always a scheduling thing.
Mm-hmm. The work-life balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, from a long-time webcomic fan, thank you for keeping it in webcomic format as well.
Well, you're quite welcome.
Because that's always fun to read, Check back, wait for the new release to come out, and jump on it.
Yeah, well, I know the first 2 pages of The Hunter Killer won't go up until after if I'm assuming we will be successful with the Kickstarter, but after all the Kickstarter backers, they get everything first.
Mm-hmm.
Before anything goes up on the web.
Yeah, which is good because they're the ones supporting to make it happen, which, it's only fair.
Absolutely.
And then you're
they definitely get everything first.
Yeah, which is, as a backer, that's what you're hoping for. And then you can show all your friends when your issue comes in of, look what I've got.
And then my living room turns into my assembly center. I do everything myself. I don't farm it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
It takes about a week and a half, and things just go out in stages, and it all goes out. I just do like maybe 20-30 packages a day, and off they go, and then I go terrorize my local post office.
Hey, and that's
like you again.
That's the beauty of the small press, it literally is, you're personally getting it out the door to them. It's not going through some warehouse and printed up somewhere else. That's another part of something that makes it special.
I just wish it were easier. But yeah, it all gets done. But anyway, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally got all the technical stuff worked out.
Yep. And thank you for hosting a fantastic group of panels at Gaslight Gathering.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
It was great to, actually meet you in person and, pick up physical copies while we were there. Yeah,
I'm sure I will be there this year. I guess it's Gaslight Expo.
Mm-hmm. Gaslight Expo.
Now, Expo. Yeah. I'm hopefully I've turned in my application form to be a vendor, so I will probably be there as well.
Fantastic.
I really enjoy Gaslight, and the Town and Country and is a great venue, and I just love it has a great vibe, and I almost wish I could attend because there's so many fun things going on, but I have to work.
Definitely, yeah. It's one nice thing I like with the Gaslight Gathering and this year the Gaslight Expo is the fact that there's the talented folks that get brought out by the convention, and after hours when the con's over, you're at the hotel and you're all just getting to hang out together. It's a great creative environment of just hanging out and just talking with people.
No, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and Anastasia and her crew do a tremendous job.
Oh yeah, they do a fantastic job. And of course, big shout out for the San Diego Steampunk Society because they're fantastic.
Of course, absolutely.
All right, Madeleine, thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. And again, like always, guys, thank you for listening.
On the battlefield, I'm a warrior, ready to kill or be killed. I've defeated orcs from the north, sent Kandorian demon spawns back to the depths, and drank with Cimmerian heroes. But when I get back from a hard day of disemboweling my enemies, I enjoy nothing more than to open my castle doors and find a dungeon crate as my reward for blood well spilled. Designed for role players and tabletop gamers, Dungeon Crate is a monthly subscription box service with a treasure hoard of loot you can use on or off the battlefield. Miniatures, dice, tokens, coins, maps, modules, terrain pieces, handcrafted items, RPG jewelry, and more are yours for only a few gold per month. You even get a digital crate along with a physical one as an added bonus. So what say you? Are you ready for postal glory? Oh boy. DungeonCrate.com. Let the adventure begin.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening. Hey guys, and I'd just like to take a second to thank all of our patrons, the folks who supported us on Kickstarter, and the folks who've given us positive reviews on iTunes. So on iTunes, XO4, thanks man, you've been with us since the very beginning, and we still love getting messages from you, man. Next would be LOL Man 1, that's 2 L's, 2 N's, D&D Rocks, ! And OCU Teach. Thanks you guys for going to iTunes and hitting the review because it really does help other folks find us. If anybody in the Patreon and Kickstarter page wants their name to just be their last name or their first name, let us know. But I'd like to definitely shout out to Christopher Onstadt. Thank you very much, man. Chris McCarty, thank you. Kelly Springer, thank you, honey. Carrie S., thank you. And, of course, James Springer. Thank you very much, guys. And thanks for being our patrons. Thanks for supporting us. Thank you for your emails because, guys, we love going through those emails. And if you want to shoot us a message, shoot us an email to creativeplaypodcastnet@gmail.com. Thank you for supporting us, guys.